Thanks for joining us. We're going to be visiting now with Brian Hoops of Midwest Market Solutions in Springfield, Missouri, and get his reaction to what we're seeing developing in our ag trade today. Thank you for joining us here, Brian. Appreciate that. First up, let's look at this corn market here, which, best I can tell, is testing some overhead resistance. A little bit ago, I was watching it, and it hit the 325 mark, and then it bumped it upward to 325 and a half. That's 4 1/4 higher now. And Brian, isn't that some pretty stout resistance right there? Isn't that kind of a critical point?
Yeah, in fact, Marlon, this is the highest we've traded since April the 24th. So we had, last week's highs were about 324, and we have moved above that. So it's a little bit friendly here in the front months, and that's due to some basis levels starting to tighten up, especially in the Western Corn Belt. Some of the ethanol plants that had shut down or idled for some time now starting to come back online and starting to bid up for corn. So especially in the Western Belt, we're seeing some tightening of basis of a couple cents, slow emergence of the corn crop across the nation, and slow planting in some key states such as Illinois, Indiana, North Dakota, all contributing to some strength in the corn market this morning. As we were forecast to have warmer temperatures this week to help emergence, and so far that has not been the case.
Well, let's switch over and look at the soybean trade then and how it's doing so far today. Right now, we're seeing a lot of pressure here. Brian, we have July down 5.5 cents at 839.5. In November, down 4 1/4. Make that 4 lower now at 848 3/4. So what's happened with the soybean trade? Because yesterday, the rumor mill had it that we'd probably be selling quite a few more soybeans instead of less. So what's this about?
Yeah, the rumor out yesterday was 2 to 3 cargoes of beans sold to China once again, but we've gone 2 days now without any private sale announcements to China, and that has taken some of the steam off of the soybean market. So we're pulling back off of our recent gains, a little bit of weakness coming in the soybean meal market as it's fallen to contract lows as well. Just a lack of demand here with ideas that, it's going to warm up. We'll have plenty of time to get some soybeans planted and maybe even shift from corn if they have to replant, may get shifted over into soybeans. It's contributing to the weakness.
The wheat markets seem to be all over the place today, and we have the July Chicago wheat actually 3 higher, and it's sitting right at exactly that $5 benchmark. Meanwhile, in Kansas City, we have July down 2 1/4. We're at 444 per bushel. The Minneapolis spring wheat, which is running way behind on its planting progress, is actually 5 3/4 higher. We're now at 510 and a half, and that would be about 5 cents off its earlier low this morning. So obviously getting some support from that planting progress report yesterday. Brian, we'll come back in a moment, and we'll take a look at our livestock trade here on a Tuesday when we come back after this. Let's go back to Brian Hoops of Midwest Market Solutions and talk about our livestock trade right now. And as we do that, let's look at our live cattle board, which opened under quite a bit of pressure this morning. Now, it's kind of coming off of those lows a little bit. We have June live cattle 57 lower at 98.15, and August 57 lower at 98.27 so far this morning. Pretty consistent losses across the board there. The May feeders are still 57 higher at 127.17 per hundredweight, but most of your activity now is going to be in your August, and that is down 60 cents. We're at 131.95, about 70 cents off our earlier high of the day. We have September down 70 now, and it's at 133.05. As we switch our focus over to the lean hogs, we're mixed, and we have June now trading 22 higher. We're at 57.87, and July currently 25 lower. So there you go. They kind of wash. The July contract now quoted at 57.40. That's the way it goes all the way across, just a narrowly mixed market here. Cattle market, have you heard any rumblings about what may take place in the cash cattle trade today out in the plains?
We've seen a little bit of trade, that 120 yesterday in the Kansas and some very light 190 being paid in Nebraska and also in Iowa this morning. Like I said, it's very light. The Packers really don't need that many cattle. They're starting to need a little bit more because our slaughter rate is improving. But overall, the demand for cattle is very slow compared to previous weeks when they had to need cattle. They're just very limited as far as what they need to buy right now. But it is a little bit supportive to see this higher cash trade, but the boxes turning lower. Our export sales have hit a market-year low last week, and our outfront sales to our retailers hit a 3-week low. So some of this demand news is a little negative to the market, and that's why we've tried to get clients to reward the latest rally that we've had with some option strategies and some hedging.
The Dow right now is down about 31 points on the June futures. Is that anything that plays into this livestock trade right now?
Yeah, probably not so much. I think the market's more focused on what's happening with the retailer demand, what the cutout values are doing, and if we can get these chain speeds pushed back higher. Because we're adding a lot of weight to the cattle. They're 41 pounds heavier than a week ago. That's going to be a real chore for us to work through over the summer months.
Okay, well, Brian, thank you for talking with us. I appreciate that very much. Brian Hoops of Midwest Market Solutions. And he is based in Springfield, Missouri. Again, I'll remind you, we had some winter wheat condition ratings that came out yesterday. And just overall, nationwide, we had a 1 percentage point decline. Just wanted to remind you about that. Texas went down 5 points in the good to excellent rating. Oklahoma went down 3 percentage points. And we'll keep an eye on that development as well because of the expanding drought in the southern plains. Christina, back to you.